Good evening, everyone. And first of all, thank you, the event organizer, for hosting me here. So I'm Sumit Chowdhury. I am Senior Manager Sustainability with Intertek. So today I have been invited to talk on the ESG and how it is impacting the mineral or mining or exploratory companies, right, or the sectors. So let's begin with, these are the topics that I'm going to cover today. So as you see, we have sustainable mining and ESG, significance of implementing ESG management, case studies, a couple of case studies, then key aspect of ESG navigation, and what are the top ESG trends in the mining industry that we will have a look. So before going forward, I would like to put you give you just a hint that today our global leaders, they use the term ESG and sustainability interchangeably without knowing the thin line difference between that. When we talked about sustainability, it's basically the overall umbrella. And when we talked about ESG, it is very specific to organization. So in today's presentation, I'm going to use the ESG as well as sustainability interchangeably. So please excuse me on that part. So now let's talk about the sustainability, sustainable mining and ESG. As we all know that in today's world, mining is becoming crucial. So the intersection between the ESG and the mining industry are becoming more significant. So, and when we talked about sustainability, it is totally defined by the Sustainable Development Goals. As you all know, in United Nations, there are 17 Sustainable Development Goals are there, and the mining industry on this sector, are directly or indirectly impacting all the Sustainable Development Goals. But here we are going to talk about a couple of SDGs, which are being directly impacted by the mining industry. First one is the, no poverty. Means, as we all know, mining industry is having a very good potential in, creating a lot of, socio-economic developments. So these goals have been addressed. Secondly, we do have goal number 8, which talked about, decent workforce and economic growth. We all know that, mining industry has a potential to create a lot of, employment, trainings. And similarly, it also help in, creating a lot of infrastructure development work around the communities and the societies. So it will also, target or addresses the goal number 9. Apart from that, the most talk about goal is the climate change, because we all know mining industries are causing, a lot of GHG emissions because of their extensive energy utilization. So, but because of new technologies are coming up, if we adopt a sustainable approach while doing the mining, these GHG emissions can reduce, and it will definitely impact the climate change that we have. And apart from that, we do have goal 16s, which talked about peace, institution, and all those stuff. So we know the mining industry has a potential to create a very a very peaceful environment among the communities if they work well. So I believe these are the goals that mining industries can impact on the sustainable front. Now let's talk about the ESG risk and opportunities. We all know that mining sectors are available all across the globe. So it can be very, based on the context, based on the region. But there are few or couple of, ESG risks that we have identified are common in nature. So let's talk about the first, environmental risk. So as we all know that mining industries are doing, a lot of stuffs and all those things, and because of that, resources have been depleted, right? So because of that, a lot of pollution, whether it is soil contamination, water pollution, all these things are happening. And other than that, climate change, as I already mentioned that, mining industries are using, extensive energies during their production phase, during their, downstream utilization phase. So these are the, risks that we have in place. But when we talked about risk, there is an opportunity. If we mitigate those risks, it will qualify for the opportunities. So if we, work on sustainable mining practice, or if we adopt sustainable mining, it will definitely mitigate all those risks. I won't say it is going to, reduce all those risks to a negligible level, but yes, it will, create a lot of difference. So, and apart from that, companies or the mining sectors, they need to invest on, clean energy technology, whether it's renewable or, CCS, carbon capture storage, and other, the other technologies that they have, or, which used for clean energy transition. So these are the, opportunities that we have in the environment section. Similarly, when we talked about, community relation, labor rights, indigenous rights, so these are, are the few social related risks that we have, because we all knows that, whenever a mining or exploration sector is working in a community, there is a chance of community conflicts because of, various reasons. So I'm not going into that detail, but, conflicts can be happen. And because of that, indigenous peoples and their rights have been compromised. So these are the things. And apart from that, when we talked about labor right, it basically includes your wages, occupational health and safety standards. These can get compromised, and it will impact your reputational, reputation or your market values. So these are the risks. And apart from that, there are a couple of opportunities are available. If you work towards the development of the communities, if you invest in the infrastructure where you are working, that will help you out tremendously. And the rest is the governance risk. When we talked about governance risk, it is basically corruption and bribery, because we all knows that in order to get a lot of environmental clearance, a lot of permits, we generally intend to you bend towards the corruption. So it is creating a lot of impact, and it will create a lot of reputational risk. It will degrade your market values. And ethical supply chain. So we have seen that supply chain are getting impacted because a lot of labor abuses are there, unethical supply or the procurement are going on. So these type of things are very much common, and these are the risks that we need to look upon. So now, what are the key drivers for ESG integration into in exploration and mining sectors? So we have identified a couple of them. First is the regulatory pressure, because we have seen that in many regions, disclosing of your ESG data and performances is becoming mandatory. For an example, in EU, we have CSRD, right, which is going to be implemented by 2026, means company need to disclose their 2025 data and performances in the year 2026. In India, we do have BRSR, that is Business Responsibility Sustainability Reporting. So, top 1,000 companies, they need to disclose their ESG performances. Similarly, in Hong Kong, Hong Kong Stock Exchange, they have made mandatory for all the listed companies. In Malaysia, we have Bursa. So, everywhere we have seen that, even in Brazil, South Africa, in Japan, we have seen that type of things are going on because of the regulatory pressure. Companies are, are forced to publicize their, ESG data and performances. Second, the most important is the investor and the market driver. We all know that investors are keen to invest in those organizations which are having good ESGs, and that we have seen in this in the recent years. So I think this is one of the important key drivers that we have. Other than that, we have pressure from the NGOs and the communities, because whenever a mining company start mining and they are doing operation, a lot of time conflicts may happen, and because of that reason, NGOs and communities, they are creating external pressures on the mining companies. So if a mining company is having a good ESG standard in place, they can able to tackle those situations diligently. And the rest, but not the last, but that is the proactive measures, because many mining companies, they want to be the leader in the ESG front. So they develop their internal system in such a way that it can it can be an example for other companies. So maybe in past they have faced any any incident, any problems. So from their learnings, from past learnings, they have come out with a solution that they need to develop ESG standards, policies and everything. So these are the few key drivers that we have in place. Then what are the significance of implementing ESG management? So we all know that whenever we are talking about ESG, it will cost you more because because of compliance cost. Because if you talked about ESG, there are stricter rules and regulations that you need to follow, which may trigger to use high quality equipments, need to set up high process. So that may cause a lot of costing. Apart from that, operational costing, because if you want to good in the ESG front, it means you are talking about investment in new on the clean technologies. You will talk about proper waste management, water recyclability, good tailing management. So all this thing basically encourage high costing on the operational side. And apart from that, there is one more costing that is related to ESG, that is reporting and monitoring. So whenever you are talking about reporting and monitoring cost, it means you need extra manpower. You need to give training to that person, to that team. That will, of course, add up to your administrative cost. So when we talked about ESG, yes, ESG has a means it has a upfront cost, but there are various advantages of implementing ESG. First is it will help you to mitigate your all type of risk. We have seen that it will deal with your community. It can deal with your compliance related risk, reputational related risk. It will improve your performance. If you talked about good ESG things, your people will get good training, they will get motivated, and performance will increase or enhance. When we talked about enhanced stakeholder engagement, it will give you an opportunity, to talk to your community, to talk to your investors, different stakeholders, so that you can get a more positive feeling and all those stuff. Access to capital, as I already mentioned, that investors are keen to invest those organizations which are having good ESG ratings or good ESG performances, and so access to capital is getting a lot more easier. And the last but not the least, that the market differentiators. If you have a good ESG in place, you can call yourself the market differentiator. Why? Because right now the millennials or Gen Zs are looking on those organizations which are having proper ESGs, and they can relate with those organizations. So that's how you can create a lot of differentiation in the market. Then process of setting an ESG management system, it is very important, because I believe many of us are new to this sector and we are not aware how to start the ESG management system. So first we need to assess the maturity level, because many companies, they have the ESG in place but they don't know that they are actually doing it. So it is very important for them to identify their maturity. Then need to do the diagnostic study. When I say diagnostic study, it basically includes your materiality assessment and your peer assessment. Through materiality assessment, you would come to know what are the important topics for your organization that you need to work on, and accordingly you can set your ESG targets. And the peer assessment means you need to understand what your peers are doing, because ESG is never been a a competition. You need to look at this thing at a very positive way. So apart from that, you can identify roadmaps, what you need to do in couple of years, on short-term basis, on long-term basis. Then you need to implement that. And apart from that, monitoring, reporting, and assurance. These are the things that you can do. So I would like to touch upon a case study. Recently we have done a work for a company in Asia, and for whom we have developed their sustainability report, But the major challenges that we have faced that, they are very new to this sector. So it is very difficult for us to, help them out because they are understanding on the ESG at a very, nascent level. But the learning that we that we gain is that, before going into that thing, we need to do their capacity building. So I would like to skip the second case study. Thank you. So,
That I might have to be.
So thank you. So these are the top, trends that we have seen. On environmental, you have seen that net zero acceleration. Then we have, a biodiversity telling management system.
What booth are you at?
Pardon?
What booth are you at?
27.
That is correct. And
Yeah.
that is where everyone's going to go to the rest of this talk, because you've led them in like a good Netflix documentary and they will come and see you, I promise you. We have to leave it there, Sarah.
Thank you. Oh, thank you.
I'm very, very, very sorry.
If you have any query, please come to